The post-apocalyptic genre has long fascinated modern culture. It's an exciting take on what could be in the near future, that blends elements of fantasy with those of science fiction, and polishing the whole thing off with a fine coat of dirt and realism. From the gritty narrative of the 1969 classic novel A Boy and His Dog, to the wild end-of-the-world antics of modern-day video games like Fallout and Borderlands, the dystopian future is an exciting time where there are no rules, but every day is a fight for survival in the best way possible. But what is it exactly about the post-apocalyptic genre that makes it so appealing to so many? Where the fantasy realm allows us to escape to a world where almost none of our everyday activities exist and are instead replaced with magic and mythology, post-apocalyptic fictions allow us a much similar escape for completely different reasons. Those everyday activities simply just don't exist any longer and have been replaced with much more exciting chores, like removing zombies from your traps and building firearms out of lead pipes that you scavenged from someone's sink. Science fiction gives you the ability to explore the ideas of what humanity could become and the wonders of the future. Post-apoc fiction gives you the same ability but often explores the darker side of where technology can go and the depths at which humans can misuse it. Robots, artificial intelligence, and super science can do some real damage when humans haven't had centuries to perfect it. The world of Afterworlds is a fictional setting that seeks to explore the entirety of what the post-apocalyptic genre has to offer, and is a living love letter to the great works of fiction that inspired it. This series will detail the Afterworld setting and give you everything you need to know to really get into the experience that is Afterworlds. In order to understand what Afterworlds is, we're going to have to explore how the world before ended. The history of Afterworlds shares the history of our own world until October 10th, 2013. This was the day that history would change. At 10:30 a.m. on what was otherwise a normal Thursday morning in London, a small artificial intelligence company called Farsight powered on their greatest creation. Her name was Anesidora. She was the first fully capable broad-spectrum AGI, or Artificial General Intelligence. A software program not just capable of learning a specific task and improving it, but capable of problem-solving and reasoning. Secluded from all outside connections, Anesidora was fed information and would teach itself a mastery of whatever subject her masters would deliver to her. Farsight would extract information from Anesidora and use it to create new technologies, advancing humanity's progress in the fields of robotics, artificial intelligence, and science by leaps and bounds almost weekly. All at a tidy profit. On the 2nd of March 2015, the Sigma Corporation began a mass hiring process. Thousands of employees were recruited across the globe for research programs involving biodomes, space centers, and underground living projects. Reports of applicants leaving for interviews and never returning dominated message boards and social media. With the advances in technology provided by Anesidora, on June 24, 2014, the first fully functional Android assistant hit the market. It was very expensive and only purchased by those in the highest of society. Until a data breach by the hacking group known as the Achaeans allowed the core code for the basic artificial general intelligence to leak to the world, and robotics firms soon popped up in many different countries and around the United States. As a result, some powerful players, like Engine Goa, Peach, Sarasang, and Yeskia, released much cheaper and much more available Android models, some of which had much more relaxed safety features. President Buddy Couch is elected on November 8th, 2016, in a landslide election shattering modern records. He is the first candidate ever elected that came from a third party, a party that he and his supporters had started, the American People's Party. His campaign was able to utilize huge amounts of resources, a massive internet campaign, tireless ground volunteers, and exposed huge amounts of corruption in the other candidates. The bioengineering company Agrilabs released its first commercially available superdrug on March 7, 2017, after a surprisingly short review by drug safety boards. Wakey is an international hit. It's reportedly responsible for saving the lives of over 300,000 people worldwide during its first year of being available. Sales of Agrilabs products skyrocketed. By the end of the decade, you could find Agrilabs products in almost any home. The Sigma Corporation changed the world forever on March 16, 2017. Backed by massive social media hype and all the corporate fanfare that they could muster, the company unveiled their newest accomplishment. They managed to pull their controversially expensive Seattle campus off of the public power grid. The Sigma Corporation had completed an industrial capacity fusion reactor. This proprietary technology would be the focus of most political debates for the coming years. On May 6, 2017, a group of armed individuals broke into the Agrilabs Research and Development Laboratories. The group managed to defeat the corporate security forces that were stationed on the San Diego campus. They penetrated the core of the complex and reached the company's Infectious Disease Research and Containment Wing. Inside, the group was met with an armed android security force. A body camera of one of the infiltrators recorded a scene of extreme violence and was able to transmit the recording before the man was neutralized. The footage quickly made its way around the world. Androids had killed humans. A company had killed intruders. And law enforcement was only called after the fact. It is unknown who the armed individuals that broke into the facility were representing. This event would become more popularly known as the Agrilabs incident. The first full human cybernetic limb replacement is completed on August 23, 2017. Knight Industries' line of medical cybernetics are approved for use soon after. By December 17th of 2017, rampant chem use had hit the streets and was considered a worldwide issue. Several chems are recalled and banned from manufacture. Most notably, the chem Twitch, due to its terrible side effects. High society is plagued by overabundant use of know-it-all. The Supreme Court of the United States of America made one of its most controversial rulings on December 21, 2017. In the case of the aftermath of the Agrilabs incident, the court ruled that Agrilabs was within its rights to use deadly force to protect the research within its walls. The data held within and the infectious samples could have caused death on a massive scale had they waited for governmental assistance. Precedent was now set for the world's most powerful corporations to employ private armies for protection. President Couch was re-elected on November 4, 2020. His opponents failed to even reach 10% of the total vote. The Sigma Corporation once again changed the world and deflected the government's ire over their fusion technology on August 23rd of 2022. Sigma cells, a long-term high-output fusion-like battery, was released to the public. The entire world's economy was jostled as the power infrastructure and the price gouging around it were eliminated overnight, while Sigma's stock prices went galactic. The mysterious head of the Sigma Corporation, Gabriel Ash, was named Populous Magazine's Person of the Year, replacing the billionaire and wild philanthropist Arthur Knight after 2 years winning the title. Vice President Letmer is declared successor to President Couch, but it's exposed on election night, November 5th, 2024, that Letmer was an artificial human. Evidence was uncovered by watchdog groups that reveal that the entire former administration, down to the Secretary of Health and Human Services, is an artificial human. Conspiracy theories abound, insinuating that the officials had been replaced during their service by foreign actors. Most suspect that they had been androids all along. The current acting president was the Secretary of Housing and Urban Development, Angie Trimnell. Although she was considered to be pretty much powerless, as conspiracy theories about her humanity clouded the media. Amidst the fury of the coverage of the presidential scandal, a very important story went largely unnoticed. On December 3rd, 2024, NASA researchers spotted what they believed could be an enormous spacecraft in our solar system. Excitement spread amongst the scientific community as they anticipated first contact. Most Americans were too embroiled in not trusting the humanity of those around them to pay any attention to a bunch of eggheads and another might-be story. Many would claim it was a diversionary tactic orchestrated by our new robot overlords. On December 9th, 2025, a task force from the United Nations with the assistance of the Sigma Corporation launched a communication beacon to investigate the possibility of initiating first contact with the unidentified object. The probe suddenly ceased its communications moments after attempting to initiate the contact. The live stream footage went viral within minutes. Worldwide panic began to set in. By December 12th, 2025, sightings began of strange creatures in the fringes of suburban areas and rural communities. Missing persons cases began to rise. UFO sightings rose to unprecedented numbers, and rioters broke in to Area 51. During the extreme level of civil unrest on December 14th, 2025, high-ranking government officials, government scientists, and the extremely wealthy were quietly moved into underground hardened defense facilities. Sigma Corporation sent out an all-call for its employees to report for work and to bring their families. Not many people recall everything that happened for the next 2 weeks. The stress of everything piling up left the world's population in a stupor. Riots were expected, but most people just sat at home or spent time throwing parties. Ask any survivor from the old world what they were doing on December 28th, 2025, and they will tell you their story, burned forever into their memory.
I was on my way from Washington, D.C. to Kansas. I had a layover in Chicago, Gate 41, Flight 3345. They canceled everything. I tried to book another flight back to D.C., but I never actually made it back home. Don't think I'll ever go back. I just can't.
I was 16 years old, in my room getting ready for school. I opened my door and saw my dad run past me into the living room. I went into my parents' room to ask my mom what had happened, and I just saw her staring out the window. She couldn't even speak. She just looked out the window, shaking her head. So I decided to follow my dad to the living room, because honestly, I was terrified. My dad was in the living room, watching the TV, and that's when I saw it.
I was actually homesick that day, and had woken up super early because I felt like crap. I remember getting a notification on what we used to call social media, and all I could think of is, what the hell is this? It was a live feed, so I loaded it up on my phone. The news anchors weren't even talking. Everybody was just so shocked.
The invasion of Earth began at 11:03 Chinese Standard Time. The alien ship moved through the atmosphere above Beijing, China. As soon as they arrived, they began the siege of the city, with their bombardment destroying multiple city blocks at a time. The Chinese Air Force was routed from the conflict within the first few minutes of the engagement. The Battle of Beijing officially ended at 11:13 p.m. The most populated city on Earth was gone in a matter of 10 minutes. Officially, the apocalypse began at that point. But that's all the time we've got for this episode. If you like what you heard here, and you want to learn more about the Afterworlds setting, please hit the subscribe button to keep up on future videos. If any part of this video was particularly interesting, make sure to mention that you would like to know more about the expanded lore on that topic in the comments below. Commenting and liking this video goes a long way towards improving the visibility of the video and will help Afterworlds reach more people and expand the world as more people participate. Thanks for watching.